The folks at Tonic have been super busy creating all sorts of new products, and we're going to show you their Nuvo line of crystal drops. Doesn't that sound interesting?
There are so many colors and 2 different finishes, and we're going to show you adding some 3D dimension to your crafting.
And the design team has done some fabulous techniques. Come play with us. Well, here they are. Look at this.
In 2 different finishes.
Right.
Up at the top we have 9 different colors in the pearl finish, and we have 11 colors in the glossy finish.
Right, and all of them have a couple of characteristics. Number 1, look at the container. It is a large 2 ounce, I'm thinking.
No, I think it's 1 full ounce.
Okay. And it also has this crystal kind of jewel top. Then, as you would expect, when I open it, you're going to see the needle nose applier, which is what you would expect.
Right.
So,
and here's a way of looking at them. All of those colors used, you can see them on black, you can see them on white. Up at the top, we have the glossy finishes. And this is how they appear on black, and then up on white. And you can make little dots that really end up sitting nice and high, like a nice little pearl. And so the glossy finishes have just what they say, a pretty glossy look to them, even on the black. And then down to the pearl finish, you can actually see a pearlescent glow on there, so that's kind of nice. And then down on the white, the same instance. So lots of great colors.
same idea. You can do that pearl perfectly with either one of them. So the difference is the finish and the variety of colors. So we're going to slide these over to you, and they're going to go rolling.
Well, let me grab that and just get them out of your way.
Bring it up for our very first project. So what we've done on this card is some stamping and then adding the crystal drops on top. So we'll get in really close so you can get a good close look at that. Now the dots can be placed one on top of the other. So
they can.
That's another way to do it. Now, just so that you know, the that background is done with the wildflower stamp, and there is the stamp, so you can see that cluster of leaves and kind of all together.
And then just adding the little drops to add flowers. I'd kind of like to, you're going to show these.
I just wanted you to see that the merci comes from our new thank you stamp, and that really pretty flourish is also part of the wildflower stamp.
So I just think that's a really unique design. That's very sweet, and the way to make those is just very simple. So I've got pink and I've got white, those nice glittery tops, and I open these up. And we're going to start by making little dots. So this is how you make those little pearls very easily. Now you can, I think it's easier if you hold it straight up like this, but I want you to be able to see it. So I'm going to, from the side, just to make a little drop like that and make it as big as you want and just pull up. That's all I did. Once you do that, this is how it sits. As it dries, that's going to settle down. In fact, I can sort of see it settling down to a nice round shape. And then you can do several of those, you know, in a row, whatever you like. So they're just, it's very easy. This is sort of like cake decorating. I know because I used to do that. And then if you want white in the center, like some of the flowers that were created on that other piece, you just add the white. And just right at the top, you're just going to add a little dot.
A teeny tiny dot.
Teeny tiny dot. You can even get it smaller than that because it's such a small, you can just touch it and it will leave a very tiny dot.
Now you realize that everybody is thinking, how can I use that? Well, this is how you can use it. You're kind of making flowers with them. So very fun. On the inside of this card, there is another little cluster. So it's merci, you are too kind. So very, very sweet. And very, very simple. Now, it does raise them, but you know, it's not bad. I mean, this is going to go through the postage just fine, go through the post office. So So there's one idea. Here is yet another.
I love this.
Isn't that cute?
This is great. So this is one of our cutting dies.
Right, this is the Four Seasons cutting die. So it starts with the tree, and then it's got all sorts of other pieces, but you can use the crystal drops.
Use the crystal drops to make little apples like that, if that isn't just the cutest little thing. So let me show you very briefly the way to do that. And when I'm done making an apple, I want to point out a couple of things around those. Because it's a tree, they must be apples. So I'm going to make a dot and then sort of pull it down a little bit. You might want to get in a little bit closer to make sure you can, there we go. And on the other side, another dot, and then just pull them together. If you want to make it a little bigger,
so it looks like
add
a heart.
A little bit more. It does. It looks like an apple, or a heart, or a strawberry. That's what I was thinking. It would make great little strawberries too. And then you just take the green.
And I didn't even mention the green. I was so focused on those apples.
I'm going to turn it sideways so that I can reach it. And you just want to lightly touch it on there, make sure that it's coming. Oh, another point. I would always test this to make sure I've got what I want to before I do it. And then
so there's not an air hole, but we haven't had any trouble with that. But they're brand new.
Pull it a little bit, and there you've got a couple of leaves on the top of your apple or strawberry.
Cute.
And isn't
or
that
raspberry
cute?
or whatever. So there you go. So, and you are the apple of my eye, really sweet. In the inside, you are my everything. So, just absolutely charming. And the ones at the bottom.
You know, I want to try something that actually you were talking about. Just very briefly,
You're going to try something on camera.
You were saying that Debbie did something that I didn't see, so I'm going to try to make a face. Is this the way? I'm just going to, if you skirt it around, you can sort of move it around with the tip. You can make a very large, so if you want to, make a little thing like that. And if I wanted to make that a perfect circle, I could have drawn one first with it, and then see if we can make a face. So with a very tiny little drop.
There you go.
So that'd be fun too. Well, that's an embellishment.
It is. Okay, moving along. Now, look what you can do with dazzles. This is amazing. We're going to get in close so that you can really see the dimension. So the dazzles have been colored in with the crystal drops, not only the flowers, but also into the words.
Isn't that wonderful?
And that tells me that you really have good control with that needle nose applicator. Now, this is using the colorist dazzles because they're larger, and being that they're sized for scrapbooking, but of course they work beautifully on cards.
They do, and this is great. This is using the design toolkit to get some nice shapes around those dazzles and a nice little background for those pieces.
And that's from number 7.
Okay.
So there you go. So you're going to show this.
So very simply, now see, when I looked at that card, what the first thing I thought of was Susan, because Susan is very good at filling in, taking the time to. Some of us don't want to take time and do it like this. Susan and a lot of other people love to take the time to fill those in.
Susan and you.
And me, yes, I agree. But there's something for everybody with these, very simply, or to add, or to really add some detail. And you're just going to start by placing that dazzle on cardstock. And now, one way, if I've got you centered here, is to just use the tip of it to move it around. But if you get into really tight spaces, another way of you doing this is adding a little extra right there, and then grabbing a toothpick and sort of moving it around. So if you're having trouble reaching those smaller spaces, you can move it around like that. I've noticed that some of it is actually going over the black a little bit. I wonder if you could, you could just move it off. It's a little bit transparent where it gets thin. So that's where you can just sort of move it around, fill those areas in.
Yes, I think that's, and really that didn't take very long. I mean, it would take about that long if you were coloring it too with a pen. So, and it gives that glossy look, which is just really fun and kind of a dimension because they do puff up a little bit. So anyway, just another option for you. Now we have yet another option is keep that toothpick out, and you can do something like this. Yeah, I know we're into spring and it's not Christmas, but you know, we're always thinking.
Lots of ideas.
Let's get in really close and look at that candy cane.
Isn't that wonderful?
How fun. Okay.
So very sweet, very easy. I drew it the opposite direction, but that's okay. And let me find it. There we go. So Lene said, just make some drops on that candy cane. So we're going to start with making red drops. And I'm just going to make them like this.
Okay.
Whoops, I'm going to try to make just a single drop because I'm going quickly, and that's why it's spread out like that. And I wonder if I can do the whole thing. I don't want to take that much time.
There, stop.
I think I'll stop right there. And then you're going to do white drops.
Oh, between them.
In between them.
Okay.
So just a few of the white drops, white. And this is cute. So you could make a border like this just with white and red drops back and forth like that. I think that would be a cute look too, just like that. They could be little pom-poms on something.
Good.
Or you can do this.
Now you're opening up a paper clip.
Yeah, Lene used a paper clip. Susan used a toothpick. I just figure whatever you have handy, and then you just drag this through. Let's see.
Okay.
I'm going to start at the top and try not to mess around with it too much, and just drag right through.
Wow.
And that's how you get a candy cane.
Very fun. Look at that.
I can see making little
Let's get
peppermints.
in just a little bit closer.
Those little swirly peppermints, you know, white and red stripes, and then swirling through the center of it to get a peppermint would work great too.
Here's the first one that she did. So very fun. Okay. And of course you can do the dots, you can do all sorts of things. We just wanted to do some experimentation with it. And this is also using the ever versatile 8 circles and scallops. It's 8 circles and scallops, 4 of each cutting die.
So one of our favorites.
Yes, it's just going to get useful. Now we're going to, so we've done the glossy, now we're going to go into the pearl.
And finish.
Again, we're starting with the scrapbook page just to show the versatility. And this is using the Color Me papers. And these start out like so. We've got both the labels and borders as well as the papers.
And before Lene did anything with the crystal drops, she did a little bit of a sprayed background. She used the color burst. She put a little bit of it into a, into one of these,
spritzer.
into a spritzer. She added some water and a few, just a little bit of the color burst, and she spritzed the background.
Really?
Yeah.
Clever woman. Yes, okay, so this was the violet one, obviously.
So now you've got a nice little background, and then you start embellishing these pieces by just painting on, and she used a paintbrush to paint on the crystal drops wherever she wanted them, and then added some of the dots that you see here.
Cute.
So isn't that cute?
Now also, how about the flowers? Now these are really a perennial favorite around here. These are the white paper flowers. They come in a package like this. There's about 72 in the container.
I love that they're paper because it makes it so that you can add all of the things that you use to your paper crafting. You could put that right on those flowers, and those were painted on. She started with the center being a little bit pink and then painted on the darker edges of that blue. And that nice pearl finish, you can really see that on those flowers.
And actually that's a separate little flower on the inside. And she's layered some other flowers right there.
And then put a little more of the crystal drops right in the center.
And there is yet another one.
Down along the border, she has added lots of little dots going around those swirls.
And painted in the butterflies. So this one, and then she's got 2 that she's done separately, trimmed them out, and placed them on top.
So you can just squirt a little bit of that onto a craft sheet or something like that, grab a tiny paintbrush and start playing with it.
Yeah, so we're going to back up. So again, this is the pearl look, and that's going to give you a different finish than the glossy. And so you can do all the things that we did with glossy with the pearl. There's just a different color palette. So you're not going to be doing candy canes or apples
with this set,
with the pearl set.
You can also buy them individually, so mix and match.
Now,
my favorite.
This is, now when I saw this, when Debbie showed this to me, I thought it was metal leaf.
Right.
And wow.
Wow, isn't that beautiful?
It is beautiful.
That's done with the fern stencil.
Right, which
which I have one here. It's already mounted onto cardstock, and I'm going to turn it this way because that's the way she used it. This is the fern stencil. It's a 6x6 stencil, and it's got some other stencils on here, which I put some stencil tape on top of it. You're still wondering, how did Debbie use the crystal drops with that?
Well, here we
go.
go.
We'll show you. She took 3 of those pearl finishes. Look at the gallery, but I think it's a copper, gold, Neptune. I think that is the correct combination. She said she just sort of went all over in different areas with it.
Randomly?
Very much randomly. She just sort of...
Of course, within the stencil area.
Oops. Oh. And I think she used, a lot of it, so you get a little air. So we're just going to add it everywhere. It doesn't really matter. I'm just really going to... I probably should have concentrated on one area so we can get this done quickly. So I'll try to concentrate on up here.
Okay.
But you are going to add... Here, you want to help me when you
add
some gold, and I'll add some copper.
Sure.
I'll start over here and just sort of, it's all going to get moved around, so hopefully we get a lot. When you get the air in there, it's because Tech has been using this so much.
Tech is internally what we call the design team, so that's...
So we want a little bit, make sure that it's everywhere.
I love the copper.
Yeah.
Oh, did you want me to put this everywhere?
That's all right. We're just going to do it that end. We've got enough.
Okay.
And then I've got a mini squeegee, and she said she just started moving it around. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to start this way. Oh, we put all that on there, and look, that's a lot.
We didn't need that much.
I don't know if it really needed it. And I think I'll try to swipe it in one direction.
Yeah.
So that,
How about bringing it down to the bottom?
Yeah, sure. All the way to the bottom.
So don't put as much as we did.
Make sure you put stencil tape on the edge of your stencil. Okay, there we go. I do want it to be kind of a clean. I think I'll one more swipe there.
Idea.
Put this off to the side, and then I'm going to remove it very carefully. All right, like so.
Ooh. Now ours. Ooh. Oh wow, isn't that
beautiful?
Pretty?
You're going to get a different look every time with that. That's because I didn't move it around a lot, so you did see some of those different colors. But isn't that beautiful? It's just a drop dead gorgeous look, right?
Now it is drop dead gorgeous, and of course when it dries, you're really going to get more of that pearl look, and just really. So don't use as much as we did. See, we're here to help.
You don't really need to. We were experimenting with that too. But here's another look. With the glossy set, Debbie used yellows and greens, and this is the one that she came up with. I just thought that's absolutely beautiful
stunning.
Too.
That's stunning.
So either set, you can come up with a similar look.
Spring, summer, winter, fall. There we go. It's very versatile.
But you also have to see the inside of that card.
Okay. Let's go here. So just a little bit.
So you noticed on the front of the card, the fern goes off the edge a little bit. She cut that off, save it for the inside, and it's just perfect.
Because you don't throw anything away.
Well, you don't have to,
now,
I suppose.
One of the things, too, is that with this fern, it's going to be useful. This happens to be a sympathy card. It could be a masculine birthday. It could be a thinking of you. It really is an all-purpose one. And Debbie has also used, on the edge of her card, she used the hammered gold paper, which is a specialty paper, and then she did a little matting with the mocha ripple, so that holographic, and it also just does a really beautiful job.
All right.
So you're going to try to bring all those back in, are you?
Back in, and there they are, every one of them. So we've got the glossy set, in those brighter colors. You've got the pearl set, a little bit more muted colors, but just beautiful.
And lots of fun.
Lots of fun to work with.
And just to clarify in the beginning, these are a full ounce, and each one is that, and so it gives you lots of things to play with.
Have fun.